The rain fell in steady sheets over the streets of Los Angeles, a rare downpour for the city. The sidewalks shimmered under the streetlights, and cars splashed through puddles, hurrying to escape the wet. Outside the glossy facade of a tech conference venue, a man lingered near the entrance. He was hunched against the wall, his coat soaked through, clutching a tattered duffel bag and a hand-drawn sign. The letters were smudged from the rain but still readable. Veteran seeking help. Will work for a chance. Inside, the final keynote speaker of the night had just wrapped up to thunderous applause. Elon Musk, dressed in a simple black jacket and jeans, stepped out of the building with his small entourage. The crowd buzzed with excitement, their smartphones held aloft to capture pictures of the billionaire as he strode past. But Musk's attention was elsewhere. Just ahead, the man with the sign stood out like a tear in an otherwise polished fabric. Elon slowed, tilting his head slightly as if to absorb the scene more fully. His entourage hesitated, uncertain, but he waved them off. The raindrops glistened in his hair as he approached. "Hey there," Elon said, his voice low but direct. The man looked up, startled. His face was deeply lined, his eyes wary but sharp. He took a step back, clutching his bag closer, but he didn't speak. "What's your name?" Musk continued, crouching slightly to meet the man's gaze. "Devin," the man said after a moment, his voice hoarse. "Devin Coleman." Elon glanced at the sign. "You're a veteran?" he asked. Devin nodded slowly, shifting on his feet. "Yeah, served 6 years in the Army. Thought that'd mean something when I got out, but..." He trailed off, gesturing vaguely to the soaked sidewalk around him. For a moment, neither man spoke. The rain fell between them, muffling the distant honks of traffic and chatter of passers-by. Elon's expression hardened, not in judgment, but in resolve. "Come with me," Elon said, standing upright. "Let's figure this out." Devin hesitated, glancing down at his duffel bag. "Why? You don't know me." "I don't have to," Musk replied simply. "You've already earned your shot." Devin followed Musk a few blocks down the rain-soaked street, keeping his distance at first, unsure of what to expect. They arrived at a small diner, one of the few places still open at that late hour. The neon sign flickered, casting uneven light onto the wet pavement. Musk held the door open, and Devin hesitated before stepping inside. The warmth of the diner hit him instantly, a stark contrast to the cold rain outside. The scent of coffee and grilled food filled the air, and the clatter of dishes was a comforting hum in the background. The waitress glanced up, her eyes widening slightly when she recognized Musk. She approached with a smile, but Musk waved it off politely. "Just 2 coffees and the menu," he said, nodding toward a corner booth. Devin sank into the seat across from Musk, his duffel bag clutched tightly against his chest. When the waitress returned, Musk slid the menu across the table. "Order whatever you want." Devin hesitated, glancing at the prices. "I don't want to." "Devin," Musk interrupted, leaning forward slightly. "Just eat. We'll talk after." Reluctantly, Devin ordered a burger and fries. As he ate, Musk sipped his coffee, watching him with a mix of curiosity and intent. When Devin slowed down, Musk broke the silence. "So, tell me, what happened after you left the Army?" Devin wiped his mouth with a napkin and leaned back, his hands fidgeting with the edge of the table. "I thought I had a plan," he began. "I went back to school using the GI Bill. Started studying engineering, actually. But things fell apart. My mom got sick, and I had to drop out to take care of her. She passed a couple of years later, and I just couldn't get back on track. The jobs I applied for didn't pan out, and without a degree, no one wanted to take a chance on me." Musk nodded, his expression unreadable. Devin continued, his voice growing softer. "It's not like I didn't try. I worked at a warehouse for a while, but then I got hurt. Back injury. No insurance. No savings. Lost the apartment. Lost everything. Been out here ever since." There was a long pause. The waitress refilled their coffees and moved away quietly. Musk leaned back in his seat, his gaze steady. "You said you studied engineering," he said finally. "What kind?" "Mechanical," Devin replied, a hint of pride creeping into his voice. "Always had a knack for figuring out how things worked." Musk smirked slightly. "Sounds like you were born for it." Devin chuckled dryly, shaking his head. "Not much use for that now." Musk's eyes sharpened. "Maybe there is." Devin frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" Musk leaned forward, his voice low but intense. "I've got an idea, but first, we need to get you out of this storm. Leaving the diner, Devon squinted as the rain fell heavier, the streets shimmering under the glow of streetlights. Musk pulled out his phone and tapped quickly, speaking in short, clipped sentences. Devon could only catch fragments of the conversation. Immediate, downtown, and make it comfortable. A black SUV pulled up moments later, the driver stepping out and opening the door. Musk gestured for Devon to get in. "Come on. We'll talk more once you're settled." Devon hesitated, clutching his duffel bag tightly. "I don't want to be a charity case," he said, his voice firm but tinged with embarrassment. "This isn't charity," Musk replied, his tone measured. "You're an investment." The weight of those words seemed to hang in the air. Finally, Devon climbed into the car, and Musk followed, shutting the door behind them. The SUV wove through the city, leaving the rain-soaked streets behind as they approached a sleek hotel in the heart of Los Angeles. The driver opened the door and Devon stepped out, looking up at the towering building, its glass facade glinting under the streetlights. "Here?" Devon asked, his voice skeptical. "Here," Musk confirmed. "One night, no strings attached. Tomorrow, we talk about what's next." Inside, the hotel staff greeted them warmly, clearly prepped for their arrival. Devon shifted awkwardly as he was handed a keycard. "Top floor," one of the staff members said, smiling kindly. "Everything's ready for you." Devon looked at Musk, his expression a mix of disbelief and gratitude. Musk gave a slight nod. "Go. Rest. We'll talk in the morning." The suite was nothing short of opulent. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of the city, and a plush bed stood waiting, flanked by warm lighting and fresh linens. Devon set his duffel bag on the floor and sat on the edge of the bed, his mind racing. For the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar: hope. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the windows as Devon woke to the sound of a knock on the door. He opened it to find a staff member holding a tray with breakfast and a note. The handwriting was clean and deliberate. "Meet me downstairs at 9. We've got work to do." "Elon," Devon ate quickly, his nerves building with each bite. By the time he reached the lobby, Musk was waiting, his phone in hand and a focused look on his face. "You ready?" Musk asked as Devon approached. "For what?" Devon replied, still unsure of what this all meant. "To build something," Musk said simply. "Let's go." The drive to their next destination was quiet, save for the hum of the SUV's engine and the occasional tap of Musk's fingers on his phone. Devon stared out the window, his thoughts swirling. He still couldn't quite believe what was happening. Just 24 hours ago, he'd been huddled under an awning, trying to keep dry. Now, he was riding alongside one of the most influential figures in the world. When the SUV pulled up to a sprawling industrial complex on the outskirts of Hawthorne, California, Devon's curiosity grew. The sleek, futuristic buildings bore the unmistakable logos of Musk's companies. Devon stepped out hesitantly, taking in the sight of engineers bustling about, machines whirring, and the faint hum of innovation in the air. "What is this place?" Devon asked. "SpaceX," Musk replied casually, leading the way. "But today it's where you're going to start figuring out what's next." Devon followed, still unsure of what Musk had in mind. They entered a large workshop filled with prototypes, tools, and teams of engineers in animated discussions. Musk stopped near a table where a group was working on a mechanical component that looked both complex and oddly familiar. "This is a team working on adaptive robotics," Musk explained. "We're developing systems that can adjust to human limitations, making tech accessible for everyone, including veterans." He turned to Devon. "You studied mechanical engineering. Think you can handle this?" Devon blinked, caught off guard. "What? You mean work here?" "Not yet," Musk said, his tone pragmatic. "First, I want to see what you can do. Think of this as a trial run. If it works out, you'll have a place here." Devon hesitated. "But I haven't touched this kind of work in years. I'm rusty." "Good," Musk replied with a faint smile. "We're not looking for perfection, just effort." One of the engineers, a woman named Vanessa, stepped forward and handed Devon a set of tools. "We could use a hand assembling this," she said, gesturing to the component on the table. Devon swallowed hard but nodded. "All right," he said, rolling up his sleeves. "Let's see what I can do." The hours that followed were some of the most challenging and rewarding Devon had experienced in years. At first, his hands trembled as he handled the intricate parts, his confidence shaky. But as time went on, muscle memory kicked in. He found himself immersed in the work, asking questions, offering suggestions, and even cracking a few jokes with the team. By the end of the day, the component was complete. Vanessa tested it, and when it performed flawlessly, the entire team erupted into cheers. Devon stepped back, a mix of exhaustion and pride washing over him. Musk, who had been observing quietly from the corner, approached. "Not bad," he said simply. "We'll see you again tomorrow." Devon stared at him, stunned. "You mean I'm in?" "You're on your way," Musk said. "But there's more to this than just a job." Devon frowned. "What do you mean?" "You'll see," Musk replied cryptically. "For now, let's get you settled." The next few weeks were a whirlwind for Devon. Each morning he arrived at SpaceX with a mix of anticipation and nerves, throwing himself into the work. Musk had paired him with a mentor, Vanessa, who guided him through the intricacies of the projects. She was patient but firm, pushing Devon to reclaim the confidence he thought he'd lost. It wasn't just about assembling components or designing prototypes. Devon was learning to trust himself again. The team treated him like one of their own, and for the first time in years, Devon felt like he belonged somewhere. One evening, after a particularly long day in the workshop, Musk called Devon into his office. The room was surprisingly simple. No flashy decor, just a few books, a model rocket, and a massive whiteboard filled with equations. Musk leaned back in his chair, studying Devon for a moment before speaking. "You've done good work here," Musk began. "But I didn't bring you in just for that." Devon tilted his head, confused. "What do you mean?" Musk gestured to a chair and Devon sat down. "Your story. It's not unique," Musk said bluntly. "There are thousands of veterans like you out there, people who served, sacrificed, and got left behind. That's a problem, and I don't do well with problems." Devon listened, unsure where this was going. "I want to start a program," Musk continued, "something to bridge the gap for veterans transitioning back into civilian life. Training, housing, mentorship, the works. You'd be the face of it, someone who's lived it, understands it." Devon's eyes widened. "Me? Why me?" "Because you've proven it's possible," Musk said simply, "and because people will listen to you in a way they won't listen to me." Devon sat back, the weight of the offer sinking in. "I don't know if I'm the right person for this," he admitted. "You are," Musk said firmly. "You just don't know it yet." Devon didn't respond immediately, but something about the certainty in Musk's voice stirred something inside him. For the first time, he allowed himself to believe that he could be more than just another statistic. Over the next few months, the program took shape. Devon worked closely with Musk's team, helping design an initiative that provided veterans with not just jobs, but the tools and support they needed to thrive. The first cohort of veterans arrived, and Devon found himself standing in front of them, sharing his story. "It's not easy," he said, his voice steady but emotional. "But if I can find my way back, so can you. And this is just the start." The audience applauded, and as Devon stepped off the stage, Musk was waiting in the wings. "Told you," Musk said with a rare grin. Devon chuckled. "All right, you were right." The program quickly gained national attention, sparking conversations about how companies could do more to support veterans. Musk's involvement ensured it had the resources to grow, but it was Devon who became its heart and soul. Devon's life transformed, but the impact of the program stretched far beyond him. Word of the initiative spread rapidly, gaining traction in both the media and corporate circles. Musk's network of influential peers began to take notice, many of them inspired to launch similar efforts within their own industries. The program, now officially named Veteran Reconnection Initiative, became a model for how the private sector could address systemic issues faced by those who had served. Devon took his role seriously. He traveled across the country, speaking at events, visiting military bases, and meeting veterans wherever they were, shelters, job fairs, and even on the streets. His story resonated, not just because of its challenges, but because of its triumph. He showed people that failure wasn't the end, just a chapter. One day, Devon found himself invited to speak before Congress. Standing in front of lawmakers, he felt a wave of nerves, but steadied himself by remembering where he'd started. His voice was strong as he shared not only his personal journey, but also the broader mission of the program. "We ask these men and women to give everything for this country," Devon said, looking out at the room. "The least we can do is ensure they're not forgotten when their service ends." It's not just a moral obligation, it's an opportunity. These veterans have skills, discipline, and resilience. They don't want handouts, they want a chance. The speech made headlines, and soon after, government funding was allocated to expand the program. Musk, who rarely attended such events, watched quietly from the back of the room, his signature smirk just barely visible as Devon left the podium to a standing ovation. But the most significant change wasn't in the headlines or the accolades. It was in the lives being transformed daily. Devon stayed in touch with many of the veterans from the program, often seeing parts of himself in their stories. One of those veterans, a young woman named Tasha, approached him at a graduation event for the program's latest cohort. "I didn't think I'd make it through," Tasha admitted, her voice trembling. "But your story kept me going." Devon smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "You're stronger than you know, Tasha. Now go show the world what you've got." Tasha hugged him, and Devon felt the weight of his responsibility in a new way. Every success story was a reminder of how far he'd come, and how many people still needed help. Musk remained deeply involved, though in his usual understated way. He called Devon regularly, brainstorming ideas to improve the program. One evening, while reviewing progress reports, Musk said something that stuck with Devon. "You know, this isn't just about helping veterans," Musk remarked. "It's about showing people that big problems don't have to feel unsolvable. We've got the tools, the people, and the resources. It just takes someone willing to say, 'Let's try.'" Devon nodded, recognizing the truth in Musk's words. What had started as a chance encounter on a rainy night had grown into something far bigger than either of them. It wasn't just about rebuilding one life. It was about reshaping a system and proving what was possible when people cared enough to act. As the program expanded, Devon made it a point to keep his promise to Musk, to pay it forward. He dedicated his life to the cause, not just as a face of the initiative, but as a mentor, advocate, and tireless champion for veterans everywhere. Years later, standing at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the program's first dedicated training facility, Devon looked out at the crowd, veterans, families, corporate leaders, and even Musk, who was leaning casually against a pillar in the back. Devon smiled, a quiet but profound sense of accomplishment settling over him. This wasn't just his story anymore. It belonged to everyone who had been a part of the journey.